31-24, Giants beat the Vikings. Not a surprise to anybody around here. If you watch that first game, the Giants moved the ball. They just didn't score because of things like, Bellinger fumble, Richie James drop, Scottish Hammer gets his punt blocked. There were a lot of things that they did wrong in that game, but there were also a lot of things that they did really well. The receivers were not afraid. They had some big conversions. Hodgins stepped up. He had a big game on Patrick Peterson. So I just felt like, listen, they're going to be better than they were the second time around. And Minnesota, they haven't played their best ball at the end of the season. So this just felt like this was what was going to happen. Total went over too, which was nice for people that were on the over 48. This game was Daniel Jones. I mean, that's the big takeaway for me was, like, you talk about extending this guy. In fact, there were reports that they're going to extend him and Saquon going into the offseason. And those reports come out before the playoffs. And the timing on that's interesting because as a player, especially a quarterback in this market, playing a team that, you're a 3-point dog against, the expectation is that you beat that team, that you win a playoff game. And for Daniel Jones to play the way he played tonight, pretty much mistake-free football, add something in the run game, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, bunch of rushing yards. He really hurt them with his legs. He kept drives going. They had a 20-play drive. Those guys walked off the field and were fucking gassed. We came back from commercial. The offense was still gassed, but you know who else was gassed after that drive? The defense. And the way that Brian Daboll and Kafka matriculate the ball down the field, I mean, you have to be precise in so many scenarios because they're not winning with big plays. And Saquon's really the guy who gives them the home run ability, and you see that in the run game, but they have to be good at the sticks. They have to scheme people open, and they did a great job of that. And I don't think Ed Donatel, who wasn't real popular this year in Minneapolis, or nationally for that matter, I feel like if you're watching a Vikings game, that's one of the first observations, like, man, there's a lot of space. There's a lot of big plays these guys give up. And so I don't think he survives the offseason. I don't know how long he survives at all. But on the other side of things, Wink Martindale called a great game. I mean, this guy's known for bringing the house, right? Today, he didn't do that so much. They took care of Justin Jefferson. I mean, they limited, his impact on the game. And his impact was huge the first game. Every time they needed a conversion, they went to him, including on the drive that set up a 61-yard field goal to win the game. There was like a 3rd and 9, a 3rd and 7. If you zero blitz these guys, they're going to get the ball to Justin Jefferson. Another thing is the screen game. I felt like they did a pretty good job with the screen game of the Vikings. I mean, I go back and look at the numbers, maybe not as good as I thought, but I think they did a solid job in the screen game. I was worried about that as well. And obviously, 2 Giants got really bailed out at the end of this game. Not bailed out, because I think most people were, compassionate towards, they were empathetic towards Dexter Lawrence, because that was a big penalty. At that point, I feel like they've got him pinned back there, and they're not going to let him out with the game on the line. And Dexter Lawrence, I think what they called was the arm to the head. He's swinging in there trying to wrap Kirk Cousins up. At first, I thought they called him for tossing him on the ground, which is bullshit. You could argue that these forcible blow to the head calls should be reviewable, because this one didn't seem like one that was A, malicious, B, incredibly impactful. But, Dexter Lawrence's arm weighs about as much as my fucking torso, so I don't know. But bottom line is, like, that call by the book, I think, is probably, I hate to say the right one. I'm not saying it's the right call. That call shouldn't be the way it is. But I think some people would understand why that might get called. He got bailed out, and then Darius Slayton in a big way for dropping that pass beforehand, because at that point it's what, 3rd and what is it, like 15 or something, Reed? And he catches the ball, and it's going to be a bang play at the sticks, because again, the spacing's great, and he's got a bunch of room to run. And he just drops the ball. He's looking upfield, drops the ball. Saw Kenny Golladay get involved. Kenny Golladay was blocking his ass off for Saquon Barkley. I want to say this. That dude has had a great attitude all year. Like it has been obvious from the beginning that this was going to be a mega disappointment year. Now, some guys are able to be like, yeah, I'm just making a fuck ton of money. I'm not going to worry about anything. And I think that's the right attitude. I mean, work hard, try to be the best you can be. But if it's not working out, you can't beat yourself up over it. But it was not working out for him this year. Caught a touchdown in the last game of the season. Maybe you'll see him get some touches this postseason. Big block today. It's just good to see him in there hustling. I think every time he's had a microphone in his face this year, he really has said and done the right thing. So, big props to Wink Martindale. Called a great game. Ed Donatel probably not going to make it, through the plane ride. And Kirk Cousins, man, who played solid, right? He really did. He was efficient. He was solid. Game's on the line. You're 6 yards short of the sticks. And it's such a milquetoast fucking way to end the season and the game, and it's just kind of fitting, And one more thing, the Giants are going to play the Eagles next week now. So the way this lines up is Tampa, Dallas, they're going to go to San Francisco, the winner of that game, and the Giants are going to play the Eagles for the third time in 6 weeks. And we talk about this a lot, like how hard is it to play a team 3 times? Not only that, but beat a team 3 times. Giants were tougher than people expected as they rested some people at the end of the season. So that I don't expect that to be easy, not like the first one. And I think the Eagles are probably happy they're seeing the Giants. However, Tom Brady, as bad as that team's been, it's still Tom Brady. They're playing their best ball at the right time. Their defense had some things figured out last year when they played each other in the wild card round. That's scary, okay? I feel like the Giants is devil and Daboll, talking about 2 coaches that are going to be on the field next week. I got a big Coach of the Year ticket that I'm banking on hitting with Nick Sirianni, but I just feel like the way the season's ebbed and flowed has not done him justice. The end of the season, you get Jalen hurt. They kind of stumble over the finish line. Lane's hurt. And Daboll has just taken this thing by storm. And now he wins a wild card playoff game, which if you look at what they've invested in these guys, in Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, Andrew Thomas has panned out kind of magnificently. Neal struggled today, but they've done a nice job in some spots, and they're enjoying the fruits of their labor right now. The question is going to be, what are you willing to pay Daniel Jones? What kind of deal is Saquon going to be on, and how can you build a team around that nucleus? So Kafka, you might lose him. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be a head coach right now, but in the near future. So listen to the full podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast streaming platforms. Wherever you want to get the podcast, you can get the podcast. Pretty simple. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Podcasts get pretty wild. This is real tame.